What is on tap in this episode of Couz's Corner? We are previewing the Nebraska versus Northwestern Week 0 college football game that will be taking place in Dublin, Ireland on Saturday, August the 27th, and will air at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, college football season is finally here. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and let me serve you up this shot of top shelf college football content. What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Couz, and welcome in to another edition of Couz's Corner. So pull that chair up and let's dig into the show. Let's preview Nebraska versus Northwestern, this Big Ten conference game that's being played overseas. One of the first overseas games, if not the first overseas game that we've had in college football since I think it was 2017, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. But first, I want to look at the odds and just a brief overview of the game. When you look at the ESPN matchup predictor, Nebraska has a 78.7% chance to win. Northwestern with only a 21.3% chance to win. Vegas has Nebraska at minus 13 in this game, with the over-under being 49.5 points, which has actually went down a point since I reviewed this 24 hours ago. First, when you look at the team stats for Nebraska, on the offensive side of the ball, they were 27th in the nation with 266.4 passing yards a game, so not bad. 181.2 rushing yards a game in 2021, which was 45th in the nation, so not too shabby either. However, they struggled to put the ball in the end zone. They were near the bottom nationally in points scored at 27.9, and also near the bottom at points against with 22.7 given up. Nebraska finished the 2021 season 3-9. However, 8 of those games were decided by one score or less. So Nebraska was 0-8 last year in one-score football games. So a few plays here and there, they could have been an 8 or 9 win football team. Many have called Nebraska the best 3-9 football team in college football history. When you look at the stats for Northwestern, much different story. Passing yards, 177.3 a game, which was 111th nationally. Rushing yards per game, 82nd nationally at 145. Near the bottom in points scored, 16.6 points a game is all that Northwestern scored a year ago, and gave up 29 a game, which is once again near the bottom of the country. So just struggled all the way around was Northwestern in 2021. Struggled to move the ball, struggled to score the ball, struggled to stop anybody. Just a rough season overall for Northwestern in 2021. Can they turn that around? They do. It'll have to start in Dublin, Ireland this coming Saturday. So let's look at some other stats that I've assembled for you guys. When you look at Nebraska offensively, they struggled in key situations. They were 41% on third down conversions, which was 56th nationally, so not terrible in that category. But red zone offense, they were 106th nationally. When you look at defense, third down defense for Nebraska, 72nd nationally, giving up third downs on 39% of their opponents' attempts. And then they were 61st nationally in the red zone on the defensive side. Now, Northwestern, even worse. 36% on third down conversions offensively, which was 96th in the nation, 128th in the nation in red zone offense. Third down defense, they were 105th in the nation, giving up 43%, giving up first downs on 43% of their opponents' attempts. And then they were 62nd nationally, just behind Nebraska in red zone defense. Now, another area both of these teams struggled in, actually two areas, turnovers. Nebraska was -5 in turnover margin in 2021, and Northwestern was -6. So both teams turned the ball over too much. And also, both of these teams struggled on special teams. Nebraska was 120th in the nation in net punting yards. Northwestern was 97th in the nation in net punting yards. So both of these teams struggled in key areas. They struggled in third downs, they struggled in the red zone, and they struggled in special teams. When you do that, and on top of that, you turn the ball over too much, you're not going to win many football games. Even with the talent Nebraska has. Nebraska had some talented players last year, but they just couldn't put it all together. They couldn't turn it into wins. Let's look at some players to watch for both of these teams. First, let's start off with Nebraska. On the offensive side of the ball, they do have a young but experienced offensive line coming back. They lost a couple guys, but they replaced them with transfers from Northern Colorado and Oklahoma State, respectively. And both of these transfers have a lot of game experience. And obviously with the Oklahoma State transfer, he has experience at the Power 5 level. The quarterback for the Nebraska Cornhuskers will be Texas transfer Casey Thompson. For the Longhorns last season, Casey Thompson was 165 for 261 passing, which was 63.2% completion percentage for 2,113 yards, 24 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. So not bad statistically. He had a 154.7 passer rating for the Longhorns. Starting running back for the Cornhuskers is expected to be Ramir Johnson. He carried the ball 112 times in 2021 for 495 yards, 4.4 average, and had 4 touchdowns. Jaquez Yant and Gary Irvin Jr. are also expected to get some carries for the Huskers in 2021, in 2022. In 2021, Nebraska really didn't have one go-to back. These guys all kind of shared the rock, but Ramir Johnson did get the most carries of anybody, so I'm expecting him to probably carry most of the load again in 2022. Wide receiver Omar Manning caught 26 balls for 380 yards and 2 touchdowns in 2021, an average of 14.6 yards per completion. And last year's leading receiver, Samori Toure, actually graduated and is playing for the Green Bay Packers at this time. So Omar Manning is they're going to lean on him and also Trey Palmer to step up and be the go-to receivers this year in this offense, which is now being run by new offensive coordinator Mark Whipple, who came over from Pitt. Trey Palmer, the transfer from LSU, had 41 catches for 458 yards and 3 touchdowns in his 3 seasons at LSU, averaged 11.2 yards per catch. Now on the defensive side of the ball, key players for Nebraska. You've got transfer O'Shawn Mathis from TCU. In his 4 seasons with the Horned Frogs, he had 133 tackles, 12.5 sacks, 26 tackles for loss, 4 pass breakups, and a forced fumble. The defensive end is expected to be a really valuable addition to this Nebraska defense. They have 2 really good linebackers, Nick Henrich and Luke Reinemer. They had 189 tackles and 1.5 sacks between them in 2021. And then Reiner also had 6 tackles for loss and an interception in 2021 and was a second-team All-Big Ten selection. They also have defensive end Garrett Nelson coming back for the Huskers, who had 5 sacks in the 2021 season. Now let's look at Northwestern. Offensively, they have 4 returning starters on the offensive line, so a lot of guys coming back, including All-Big Ten performer Peter Skoronski. They have a lot of experience returning on this O-line, but it was an inconsistent O-line in 2021. However, they did have several injuries up front, so that could have played a role in their inconsistent performance. All of those guys are back and healthy. Can they improve and have better chemistry and better just overall performance in 2022? We will see. Quarterback. Northwestern struggled at this position as well in 2021. They did not have any quarterback throw for over 1,000 yards in the 2021 season. Not 100% certain who the starter is going to be. I don't think Coach Fitzgerald has named a starter yet, but it's expected to be Ryan Helinski, and I'm basing that strictly because he had the most attempts in the most snaps in the 2021 season. But Helinski was 95 for 176 passing, which is good for 54%, 978 yards and 3 touchdowns, averaged only 5.6 yards per completion. He did throw over 2,300 yards, though, in 2019, so he does have quite a bit of experience at this level. So that's another reason I expect him to be the starter for the Wildcats. Starting running back is expected to be Evan Hull, who carried the ball 196 times for 1,009 yards in the 2021 season, had 7 touchdowns for an average of 5.1 yards per carry. Northwestern is going to rely heavily on their running game. That's what they're going to lean on if they expect their offense to be successful, especially if their quarterback play continues to be inconsistent. Leading wide receiver is Malik Washington, who caught the ball 44 times for 578 yards and 2 touchdowns last season. Average per reception of 13.1. Defensively for the Wildcats, their top defensive back and arguably their best defender, Brandon Joseph, transferred out of the Northwestern program and over to Notre Dame during the offseason. But they do bring back a couple pretty good defensive backs in Coco Azema and A.J. Hampton. Coco Azema had 72 total tackles in the 2021 season. And then A.J. Hampton had 40 tackles, 2 fumble recoveries, and 12 passes defended in 2021. Also coming back is linebacker Bryce Gallagher, who had 90 tackles in the 2021 season to go along with a sack. And then, I hope I get this name right, but defensive lineman Adetomiwa Adebore had 39 tackles and 4.5 sacks in the 2021 season, and he will be returning for the Wildcats. With what should be an improved offense at Nebraska with new offensive coordinator Mark Whipple and bringing quarterback Casey Thompson over from Texas, I think Nebraska wins the game, and I think they cover the 13 points. Nebraska, like I said, was 0-8 in one-score games a year ago, but one game that they did not struggle in was the game against Northwestern. They beat Northwestern 56-7 in 2021. 56-7. So there's a huge, in my opinion, there's just too big of a talent differential between these two squads for Northwestern to overcome it. I don't think it'll be quite as bad as last year. But with Northwestern having a lot of the same players returning, I just think the talent gap is just too wide, in my opinion. And I think the Cornhuskers pull out a victory 42-20. Mark Whipple's wide open offense. He likes to throw the ball down the field. Wide receivers Omar Manning and Trey Palmer will benefit from that, along with quarterback Casey Thompson. I think Nebraska will be more solid offensively this year, and I think they will remain solid on defense. Nebraska's been pretty solid on defense anyway. I think they improve even more this year. I expect Nebraska to pull this game off 42-20 to cover the 13 points. Now, I'm no betting expert, guys, but if you do decide to place a bet on this game, please do so by using the BetUS link in my description box. Please play responsibly. If it's your first bet with BetUS, you can use the promo code JOIN125 and you'll get a 125% bonus on your first bet. Or if you just want to do some online gambling, you can also use that link to get you into the BetUS site. Also, don't forget, you can check out my merch store. Links at the top of the description box. You can do your online shopping at Fanatics or Amazon with the link in my description box. You can become a member of Couz's Corner by hitting the join button right below this video. Or if you want to support me 100% free, there's 4 ways you can do it. Like this video, share this video out with your friends, leave a comment under the video, let me know who you think wins this game. And last but not least, you can subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Don't forget to hit the red notification bell to be notified of future videos. So let me know, Couz's Corner family, what do you think about this game? Who wins and by what score? And do you think Nebraska covers the 13-point spread? I want to hear your thoughts. In the meantime, I appreciate you tuning in. And until the next show, Q Country Roads.